I'm latte and tea.
I'm next-gen trendology.
The family of Tyre Nichols shares their heartbreak as 5 former Memphis officers face murder charges in his death.
I just want to ask for prayer for my family, for this whole community.
As we await the release of the arrest video, Capitol Hill is weighing in.
I have not seen the video, but I have been briefed on that video. It is deeply disturbing.
And once the video is released, Nichols' family is calling for peace.
We do not want any type of uproar. We do not want any type of disturbance. We want peaceful protests.
Tonight, team coverage on the death of Tyre Nichols. And the city of Memphis is preparing for potential unrest following the release of the video officials are calling deeply disturbing.
5 officers have been charged with murder, and the family's attorney is calling on the police chief to disband the anti-crime unit at the center of this case.
CBS 4's Skylar Henry is in Memphis with more.
Hey, Lauren and Naja, good to be with you. Acts that defy humanity. That's how Memphis's police chief is describing these officers' conduct in the footage that we will see later this evening. The now former officers have been arrested, charged, and fired from the police force. Still, the city here is on edge.
Justice for Tyre Nichols.
Hours before authorities were due to release video of the police beating that led to Tyre Nichols' death, his mother warned the nation of a horrific sight.
Any of you who have children, please don't let them see it.
She also had a message for the men charged with killing her 29-year-old son.
I want to say to the 5 police officers that murdered my son, you also disgraced your own families.
The former officers involved in the January 7th traffic stop face charges including second-degree murder, aggravated assault, and official misconduct. Family attorney Ben Crump applauded the charges and said they should be a blueprint for the future.
When it's white officers, we think it's also important to the community that there is swift action.
Nichols was pulled over after coming home from a park where his family says he was taking pictures of the sunset. Their attorney says the video shows him calling for his mother during a brutal 3-minute beating.
For a mother to know that their child was calling them in their need and I wasn't there for him, do you know how I feel right now?
FBI Director Christopher Wray says what happened was tragic.
I've seen the video myself, and I will tell you I was appalled.
Local officials decided to wait until evening to release the police footage after schools are out and people are home from work.
We should also point out that President Biden spoke with Tyre Nichols' family this afternoon, expressing his condolences. He put out a statement yesterday calling for a full and transparent investigation into how Tyre died. We're here in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm Skylar Henry, CBS 4 News.
I'm latte and tea.
I'm next-gen trendology.
Okay, let's dive into a really tough story today. We're talking about January 7th, 2023. Tyre Nichols. He was 29.
Yeah, pulled over in Memphis. And it wasn't just any patrol car. It was officers from the Scorpion unit.
That's right. And the reason they gave, alleged reckless driving.
But that's a key point right at the start, isn't it?
Yeah.
That claim, the reckless driving?
Yeah.
Well, it was later found to be unsubstantiated.
Exactly. So the very reason for the stop kind of evaporates under scrutiny.
Which makes everything that followed even more difficult to process.
So after the stop, Tyre Nichols fled. He ran on foot.
He tried to get away, yeah.
Yeah.
But he was caught by the officers. Apprehended.
And this is where things turn incredibly dark. We know this because of the body camera footage that eventually came out.
Mm-hmm. That footage. It's hard to watch. It documented a really brutal assault, not just an arrest.
No, far from it. You see 5 officers involved in what can only be called a sustained violent beating.
These you pepper spray on him.
Yeah, pepper spray.
Yeah.
You see kicking, you see him being struck like repeatedly with a baton.
And perhaps the most devastating part, you hear him crying out for his mother during this assault.
It speaks volumes about the fear he must have been in, right?
Absolutely. Despite those pleas, the violence didn't stop.
If you haven't already seen the footage, here's a warning. Okay, let's check it out. Oh my gosh, what
The footage makes it pretty clear this wasn't about control anymore.
It really looked like they were just inflicting violence.
Tragically, just 3 days after that encounter, Tyre Nichols died from his injuries.
And the reaction was immediate. Huge national outrage, people demanding accountability.
Understandably so.
Was that even necessary? Then more come joining in, kicking him. And for what? He's already down.
If you want to see the full footage, head over to the Washington Post.
The brutality shown in that footage really struck a nerve across the country.
And initially, there was action. The 5 officers involved, they were fired pretty quickly.
Yes, fired and then charged in connection with his death.
Yeah.
It seemed like perhaps a first step towards justice.
But then, fast forward a bit, May 2025, the legal process took a turn.
It did. 3 of those officers were actually acquitted on the state charges.
Now, it's important to mention 2 other officers had already pleaded guilty to federal charges earlier.
Right, different charges, different system. But those state-level acquittals, they definitely reignited the whole debate about police accountability.
A lot of people saw it as a real setback, questioning if the system can truly hold officers accountable in these kinds of situations.
It certainly highlighted the complexities and their real challenges in prosecuting these cases effectively.
The public response to those verdicts, more protests right across the country.
Yeah, many viewed it as a miscarriage of justice, feeling that the initial promise of accountability hadn't been fulfilled.
Meanwhile, the fight for justice continues in other ways. Tyre Nichols' family has filed a massive civil lawsuit.
That's right, $550 million, naming the officers, the city itself, and the police chief. It's a different avenue for seeking redress.
And it aims for broader accountability, potentially looking at systemic issues too.
Beyond all the legal aspects, though, it's crucial we remember Tyre Nichols, the person.
Definitely. He was a father, he loved photography, he was into skateboarding, just a young man with a life ahead of him.
A life that was just brutally cut short. And it feels like, for many, real justice in his name is still, well, elusive.
This whole case just forces you to confront some really big questions about policing, about accountability, about the value of life.
And the different outcomes we've seen so far just underscore how difficult that struggle for meaningful change and justice really is.
Going to Tahoe was some of the best memories I've ever had with him. For some reason, he did a handful of tricks he's never done on a down rail. He just got a fire lit underneath him, and I see my best friend. He'd be like, "Hey, Tyre, you ready?" And he would just grab the camera and be like, "Let's do this." It's about capturing a moment. And that's one of the things that he was very passionate about. That's who he was. That was his life. The videos he made, the friends he made. He was trying to find a way to make those good times and good memories last as long as, humanly possible.
So, as you've listened to us talk through this deep dive, what are your thoughts on this case? It raises so many questions, and they're questions that remain incredibly relevant.
So you have these different outcomes, federal guilty pleas, state acquittals, and that's really fueled the ongoing debate, people trying to make sense of it.
Because those acquittals at the state level especially, they sparked renewed protests across the country. Many people who saw the footage, followed the case, they viewed those verdicts as a miscarriage of justice.
Yeah, there was a lot of anger, a lot of frustration expressed.
And the legal fight isn't over from the family's perspective, is it?
Not at all. It's the human tragedy here, a life cut short. And the fight for justice in his name, it clearly continues to resonate.
So let's just quickly recap. We had the initial traffic stop, the reason for which was later questioned.
Right. Then the violent assault captured on video, which was deeply disturbing.
Tyre Nichols' tragic death 3 days later, the charges brought against the officers.
Then the mixed legal outcomes, state acquittals for 3, but earlier federal guilty pleas for 2 others.
And the ongoing civil case, the public protests, it's a lot.
It is. And again, our goal was just to lay out the information from the sources, not to push any specific viewpoint.
Right. And it really leaves you thinking, doesn't it? When you consider all these details, the different legal results, what does this tell you, the listener? What does it suggest about the challenges? How hard it can be to achieve what people see as justice, especially in these incredibly difficult cases involving alleged police misconduct?
It's a really complex question. There are no easy answers.
No, definitely.
Something to keep reflecting on, for sure. The complexities of this case and what it might mean more broadly.
Yeah.
Thanks for diving deep with us today.